Hello, this is Patrick, one of the wild guys. This is my YouTube intro with some of the other wild guys. We will be canoeing and rafting rivers and lakes and even going out a bit in the Pacific Ocean across Northwest Territories, the Yukon, and part of British Columbia. We're happy to have you along to come down the Nahanni River with us. This is going to be series number 5, the last one of the Nahanni. The third canyon's in the Funeral Range. Boy, we got up-to-date technology. We did a 360. A key ingredients you want to have on a trip like this that is so important to have. You'll notice we've got lots of it. There's a lot of laughter, fun, smiling, and we're having a great time. Super trip. Pulpit Rock is not an area for camping, but because there are so many tourists stopping there, they put a composting toilet there for the use of the people to keep the park clean. We found lots of places to make a camp. In the next few minutes, just watch how high the banks are above the Nahanni River. Stopped at the Pulpit Rock. We want to go up on the banks and take some pictures. Like I said, we don't have a drone, so the wild guys got to go up on the riverbank and shoot down to get an aerial view. Mark caught a fish here. I seen it, but it got away on him.
That's 1 tent, 2 tents, 3 tents. It's almost a third. These are the boys that's going to go up on Pulpit Rock. Hey Jim,
if you fall, that'll be really good for the video.
you go really fast, it's good. Jim's going across the rock there. It'll be nice to tell.
I don't think Jim's going to make it. What's your guess? You think he's going to get there?
Thanks, Jim. Did it go over your boots?
Jim's going to stand in that cold water and give the others a hand. Ryan's going to need a hand or you're not going to make it over that log.
Hey, Billy. Good cheating now. I think there's a mosquito on your shoulder, Doug. Here comes John. He's the hunchback of Notre Dame. I just seen the boys over here. It's right there in that area now. Probably won't pick them up. I'd have to zoom in and use a little battery. But they're right there right now, and they're going to make it up to the top. That is the Pulpit Rock right there. I just zoom in on it a bit, and it shines down over top of the water there. So that's where they're going today. This is, we've seen this before. This is where the cut banks that we come through. The boys are up the hill there now. We might be able to pick up some of them.
So we're still in the third canyon. We'll follow the wild guys up the riverbank for them to get that aerial view.
They're right in there somewhere. You know, a minute ago. Don't see them right. Another one there. Another one there. There's the boys on the very top. They're moving along there now. I'm just going to take you down and show you where they're at.
Mark got a fish here when the other wild guys went up to Pulpit Rock, but it got away on them. They're on their way up. Now somebody had to stay down and get pictures of them, because if they would have fell, nobody would have got a picture of them falling off the side of the mountain, so I stayed back. After the Virginia Falls, this is going to be the next place that you'll be taking most of the pictures. Pulpit Rock is a great place. This will show you how high the riverbank really is. These are the pictures from the video camera I got from down below, and they will be soon showing you some pictures that they got from up above. Should be coming right about now. There it is. This is our drone crew here. If you ever get a chance to go on a trip like this, it's a once-in-a-lifetime trip. Make sure you're in the raft. Actually, I like the raft better than the canoe. You don't have to go around the rough water. You can just plow right straight down through it. You can pack a lot more gear in the raft. You can have more fun in the rough water. Now, very quickly, down to the river bottom. This area was not meant for camping, but we had a number of places to go and things to see. So we put our tents up and we camped overnight. You could see the beautiful scenery that we have here, so we stuck around a little longer. We talked about the high canyon walls above the river being the highest in the world. Some of the wild guys crossed a little creek there, went up the mountain behind Pulpit Rock and got some shots down. So we didn't have an airplane or we didn't have one of those drones. We just had 2 feet to climb up, but we got some pictures from up above. We have 4 different canyons that we'll be covering, and this particular one is 40 miles long, known as the Funeral Range. Pulpit Rock is included in that 40 miles. That fish that got away from Mark is getting bigger and bigger all the time. Hopefully it'll work for us the rest of the way down the Nahanni. We also should have had an external mic to pick up the wild guys when they were in a wee bit of a distance as well.
Is that right? 24 pounds? That was about 3 feet long, something like that?
That fish is getting exaggerated a little bit. Oh well.
Okay. And that's,
Nobody else saw it, but we believe him.
yeah. I seen it, Mark. I seen it for a while. Now you'll notice down the rocks there's some more people. There's some more bodies down there.
Here we have 3 more routes coming down the Nahanni. These are the guided tours. About 60% of them are guided. They're going by us now. I guess they're faster than us. We spent a little more time at Pulpit Rock. We wanted to be able to get some aerial views and climb up the mountain in order to do that. So we were here a little longer than we expected, but it was well worthwhile. Very happy.
We woke up this morning and she thundered and she lightened and everything else, and the rain come down and poured down. Did you have a really good night last night, Mark?
Sorry?
Did you have a good night last night?
Yeah, I slept fine. It's just a little wet outside.
That's the tarp that come down. We come down this morning. It used to be 8 feet up. It was 8 feet down, and there was a whole bunch of water on it. Everything is, and Jimmy got our tarp back up again. Hi, Jim.
Morning, Pat.
We're surviving here.
We're surviving.
While at the Pulpit Rock, the wild guys got together for a family photo of the whole crew.
All bloody night. The ground and the mountains were sliding in on top of us, and now we're going through a ravine that was cut through here by the water. I don't care if they said it was the ice. I say it's the water.
The gate.
The gate. And we're going to come to Pulpit Rock here pretty soon. It's just peeking around the corner. One more look at Pulpit Rock. We had our little blessing there this morning.
The blessing.
And now we're going to go through there, and you see that we got rocks. We got a little tiny ravine, and there we got another one on this side. Yeah, we got rocks going up on one side.
It's not meant to camp at Pulpit Rock, but so many people stop there that they put a moss toilet there for the convenience of the tourists that are coming down the Nahanni River. It was very nice. We're back on the Nahanni River, heading downstream. We're sure happy it's downstream. It's going along great.
I'm coming back down. This one goes up over here. And we're going in between. It looks blue in here, my camera, for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe the sun. Way up, way up, way up. That's it there. Over here. And that's it up there. Whoo-wee. And this is us going through this little crack here. I hope Jimmy hits it. He's sure coming closer. There's the rocks, and there's the end of the deal.
Let's just hope nothing falls down, Pat.
Huh?
Look way up. Hope nothing falls down.
Yeah, look at there. Hooey! Here comes the rock, guys. The guy's coming through there. And see, he's looking way up he's looking up at the rocks. He's got a camera up there. He's just ready to rock and roll. Oh, hi there. We got Jimmy on the oars today.
Hey Pat, how you doing?
Pretty good. You're going to look after us, are you, Jim?
I absolutely will.
Keep us off the rocks?
Well,
this is the pulpit.
The banks were very high. It was difficult for me to take the camera and point that high up because the water was running down in the base of my camera and messing up my filming. So I had to restrict the how high I would go up with the camera. We picked up some water in the camera on some of the rapids just above us.
Pulpit rock on that when we come back to the other way. The water's pretty good here. You can see there's just some waves, nothing bad. Everybody's looking back at Pulpit Rock. That's where we come through there.
The only trouble is, Jim, you're going to have all the ugly guys in the back. Oh, no, in the picture. Okay, here we go.
There's that. Doesn't come out very well there. And you don't come out very well back there neither.
This one? Good.
We come through that little hole there. We all had to breathe in, suck our belly in. We're turning back around. This is a 360 view of our topography. That's a pretty good word, John. Topography, isn't that pretty good?
It's right up there with turbidity.
Turbidity. The turbidity level in the water is a bit high. Now you'll see just sort of the cliff bank, just the very, there's the water in the bottom, the sky in the top. The suckers are all rocks. We're gonna fall. Now you got a small little canyon. It's just a cute little canyon. Okay.
It's a bit windy out here today, Patty.
It's a bit windy, yeah. Now the wind's coming up and everybody is scrambling, getting their warm, they're getting their wet gear off and putting their warm and windy gear on. Oh, Dragita, thank you for my rubber pants. That's really helped me. I've been kept warm and cozy. Be home soon.
Coming into the center.
That's called the Crotch Waterfall. There's two waters going into one water.
I think we named this particular waterfall. I think we're in the Senka Canyon now because it's supposed to have big high walls, and that's what we got. There's some big high walls here. This is the canyon that has all the mysterious deaths and the people who have lost their heads. So it's called Headless Range. The report is that a lot of men have actually mysteriously disappeared or lost their heads. And there's even actually one woman too that they say that disappeared.
The mountains, it looks like we're going to be running into those suckers, so we got to turn either left or right, and I'm assuming it's going to be to the left. We'll
Wrong!
See. Wrong? Oh, okay. I'm going to now see what's going on in the back, just where we come from. Just a second. There's the boys back there. Doesn't Mark look warm? How you doing, Mark?
Catching the big ones, Tom.
Oh, you catching a big one, are you? Oh, fish! Fish. There's Jimmy. Hi, Jim.
Hey, Pat.
Who's that guy in the very back? Oh, that's Brian. How you doing there? And there's Billy. He's sort of chiseled looking this morning, isn't he?
Chiseled.
Yeah.
Finally chiseled. Finally
All that
grizzled.
growing.
I think finally grizzled.
North.
The boys look a wee bit cold this morning. I guess it's not been a hot day.
Now this is where we're going. There you can see there's the sun right there. Yeah, looks like about January. Feels like that too. Hey.
Being that it's the first part of August, and then you add to that global warming, I tell you something's going wrong here. We're freezing. I guess this is when we change the name to climate change.
Yeah. I'm getting there, boy. I'm riding her out. You're doing good, Doug. And the boy, we're almost through. What a run. Woohoo!
You shouldn't have done that in the canoe.
I had to cut a lot of that out of there because I had water splashing around in the camera as I was going up and down and around circles. And these were the best rapids so far.
There's a little ravine, but that's the only one. How you doing up there, Jim? Oh, that's good.
Tired of hearing that yet?
And there's our hero, Doug. He just wheeled us right through that. You did a good job for us, Doug.
Good.
You can go home and tell all your buddies and show them this picture now.
All his buddies are here.
This is beautiful scenery. The cold, wet weather has sort of dissipated and we're warming up a little bit now, and that's great. Remember I said we got to keep the camera dry. Well, we've already hit water with it once. They may be wild guys, but they aren't that smart. They're trying to take this raft across country. I don't think this is going to work. This is the White Spray Springs. You're not allowed to get out of your canoe here. The water is supposed to be super pure, but it's a good place to catch and fill up the water that you have to drink. We just picked her up the way she come down the hill and filled all our jugs. The next thing I'm going to say has to be credible because I was told it by a wild guy. But anyways, I was told that it's the purest water we have in Canada. Well, we'll see. If that's the case, it would be probably in the world too, eh? Looks like my kind of mountains, the Ram Plateau. You'll see some wavy lines come up on the screen. That's because we took on some water and we've had to cut out a lot of stuff, but there's still some there. This is Mark Baylor. Mark is a retired RCMP officer, so he made sure we all behaved ourselves on the way down. We got him on the oars here. So far I haven't gotten much trouble. Mark also had a lot of experience paddling. We have a black bear here. Actually, we've seen quite a few bears on the Nahanni, including some grizzlies. This is where they got me on the oars, and everybody was a wee bit nervous. But one thing else you'll notice is everybody's dressed up very warm. This is the first week of August, and look how everybody is dressed. It's not very warm here. In fact, it is very cold. We hit some areas I didn't use the camera in, but we had a rain and cold wind. Extremely cold. Easy to put you into hypothermia if you don't have the right clothes. Well, we got Doug back on the oars again. I can't help but think of the time back when I was rowing only a foot or two from some rocks. Doug was quite excited that time. I don't know if he's seen something or what, but anyways, we had a great time. You'll notice the walls that we have up there and cliff banks that come right down to the water's edge. It was really a great scenery that we had pretty well all the trip. We're trying to take a trip up a canyon, and we're going to walk up there if we can. The water might be a wee bit high, and whether we can get through or not, I'm not sure. But I'm going to find out pretty quick, because I'll show you a few pictures where the water is starting, the canyon's narrow and the water comes in, and we're sort of stuck right in the creek. John did his research, and he knew about all these different places you could go and tour. Not just going down the river, but on the Nahanni, you can take a lot of tours up in the mountains. You'll notice we're back out of that cold, wet rain again. Looks like John made it the furthest, but I'm not sure where he's going to be going from where he's at right now. Looks like he's stuck on that ledge. We'll have to go back, I guess. This is across Hot Springs and the sand blowouts. So we stopped in here for a while for a dip. This was a welcoming sight to be able to see and go into the hot springs. We could use a hot bath at this point. The wild guys don't look too bashful here, do they? We're going to have to rely more on the print cameras, as the video camera is not working well now. During the high water, they could be covered by the South Nahanni. There is a check-in there just to make sure they can keep track of you and you haven't lost your head along the way. There is a food cache and an outhouse there, and don't use any soap in the hot springs or you'll be in trouble. As we come out of the first canyon, you'll see that the water is a lot calmer, and also the river is getting wider and wider. I imagine it's affected somewhat by the Liard River that's downstream as well. So it's a nice, easy ride from here on in. You can see from our pictures that this was not warm here. We're just coming in before Nahanni Butte. Just before Nahanni Butte, we seen some buildings, and I walked in behind by the airport and walked into the town of Nahanni Butte. I seen some great big tracks in there. They're bigger than cows, bigger than moose. They were buffalo. I kept an eye out for a good tree. We arrived at Nahanni Butte, cold and wet, but the hospitality was very warm. They helped us out and gave us a shelter to hang our clothes in to dry out. It was a wonderful spot. I'd like to give a shout out to the First Nations of Nahanni Butte. You probably noticed our weather report was all over. First it was cold, then it was warm, then it was cold again. So be prepared for the very warm and also the very cold. The hospitality of the First Nations of Nahanni Butte was first class. Thank you. Even to finish off this day, we got a beautiful sunset to complete our day, getting close to the end of this great trip. When I think of Nahanni Butte, I'll always think of how kind and helpful they were. Later in the year, they got some nice northern lights as well. We're going to take some pictures here at Nahanni Butte of the sunset. We had a great sunset, and much like the one, remember, that we seen on Myrtle Lake, the North Arm. This one is also a very long sunset that just keeps going and going. This will be our last night for camping out, but I gotta say, it was a great night, a great sunset, and we had a great time getting into the Nahanni Butte. And talking to one of the First Nations at Nahanni Butte and talking about the buffalo, he said they don't hunt the buffalo because they want to increase the herd, but they use other animals for meat. The night we got there, they brought in a bear. It would provide for their community. Many of the ones living in the wilderness and relying on the animals in the wilderness, they are the true environmentalists, not the ones with the placards, leaving all their garbage and coffee cups and junk like that behind them. But many that live in Nahanni Butte would wish they weren't quite so good environmentalists. They don't like the buffalo coming in twice a year and harassing them. They have electric fences around the airport and bear bangers to try to keep them away. The population of Nahanni Butte is less than 100, but about 500 buffalo come through there spring and fall. You don't go for a casual walk when the buffalo are in town. It would be great if we, like the First Nations in Nahanni Butte, to speak the Slavey language, could follow their example when it comes to environmental concerns about their buffalo, both First Nations and non-First Nations. even when it's not that convenient to do so, even if they walk through their yard and eat their gardens. For the most part, they always leave a deposit and fertilize their lawn. Valuable resource in our wilderness. When we were there, this was the seasonal road. I don't know if it still is. If this road is open in the summer, I would love to bring my wife in and visit it again. Now we're off to the Lindbergh Landing, and that's where we're going to pull the raft out. And guess what? It's a good chance that this old raft that we rented is going to make her right to the end. At least we hope so. And so we're continuing on. Still, although that the water is a lot calmer, as you can see, and a lot wider, it's still got a beautiful scenery where we're traveling down to the Lindbergh Landing. It's time to say goodbye to Nahanni Butte and the First Nations there, and thank you for your great hospitality. Before going out on a trip like this, do your research. There's many things that's very edible out where you're at, or things that can help you as regards to your health care. Look at the poplar there. Young poplar, if you take and rub your hands against it, you can get a powder off it that when put on your face can be just the same as a sunscreen. Then there's the mushrooms and the wild onions and many of the other things that's out there that's very edible. It's good to know. There's also many bushes that you can make tea from. This will be the last stop that we have and before we stop at the Lindbergh Landing, just to take another look around. Even learning how to start a fire in wet weather is very important. When we were kayaking just off Vancouver Island, we seen most people could not start a fire there. This was on the Broken Islands. There were some that come and ask us for hot coals, hoping they could get a fire going. We used the driftwood right out of the ocean. It was drier than it was on the forest floor. We've reached the Lindbergh Landing. Another bucket list gone, from Rabbit Kettle to Lindbergh Landing. We are now at Lindbergh Landing. Guess what? The raft held the air right up to here. We pulled the plug. We thought we were going to see this before we got here, but we made her. From here now we have a highway and a ride back into Fort Simpson where we left our vehicle. We made it. A wonderful trip. One more bucket list item ticked off. In a rapid a ways back, we got our camera wet, so we camera quit and we lost some of our videos that we had, but we had a great trip. Like I've said in many videos, do not let life pass you by. Make sure you've got some doers in your group, not just talkers. We had Billy with us and he got everything going. Get a doer and get off the couch and get out and see what you have in your backyard. You will never ever regret it. Watch for the other Wild Guys videos of rafting and canoeing and kayaking. There will be many more videos after the Nahanni River. The Nahanni we did in 2007. Since then we did the Gulf Islands, also Bowen Lake and the Broken Islands. These off Vancouver Island. Then there are some that we've did in the Kootenays of British Columbia as well. So keep an eye out for the Wild Guys. There's still more to come, even if they aren't that wild. So there's going to be more things on the bucket list that we're going to have knocked off. So we chose a great group of guys to travel with. This made the journey so much more exciting, so much more fun, and so much more educational. It was good to have them along. Canada's rivers and lakes and yes, oceans have so much to offer us. Get off your couch, get out there and see it. It's wonderful. Watch for the next YouTube video of the Wild Guys on some body of water here in Canada. The next trip that we will be taking will be on Bowen Lake. It's going to be an interesting one because we went up against a forest fire and we were sent back paddling the way we come back in. Watch for the Wild Guys intro on their next canoe trip. We'll see you then.